Hello and welcome to Greg's Channel 1. I am Greg and this is Channel 1. Now today guys I'm testing out my new microphone and this is Broadchurch, the final episode, the season finale, the end of the entire show. What? It opens up where they found that the sock has DNA belonging to our taxi driver, Clive Lucas. I initially went, oh, okay. Well, I was wrong. Oops. And then the plot thickened. They got the twine from the farm shop, which they tested. Had blood from Trish. But also, they found that there was someone who had dropped it there. It wasn't Ed. And, we'll get to that in a minute. There was a beautiful scene between Beth and Mark. Where Mark can't sleep and he's struggling to deal with everything. And Beth is saying, I remember when you used to make me just want to be around you all the time. But I don't feel that anymore. I still love you, but I just don't feel that wanting to be around you all the time like I used to. And Mark says, it's never changed for me, Beth. I've always loved you. I've always wanted to be around you. And you kind of feel it from them because, Jodie Whittaker and Andrew Buchanan this season, they have brought me close to tears. They have made me feel the pain that they are still going through 3 years on after Danny's death. And then we start thinking that, then it cuts back to the police where you're starting to think, maybe it's not Clive. Because it cuts to a scene where, Ed was in custody, so they have to run a link on the twine when it was dropped, which means that it must be someone else, and that it might not actually be Clive. You kind of get the feeling that Clive may be a bad person and he might be a dick, but he's not that much of a dick, if that makes sense. He's the kind of dick that will cheat on his wife countless times, but he wouldn't rape a woman because that's too far, even for him. They start questioning him about his draw, and he starts crumbling. He starts crumbling under the pressure, where he's just going, "I can't handle this. Please, don't make me do this. Don't make me say what I have to say." You find out from Ed that he walked past where Trish had been raped, and he didn't think of anything of it because he didn't see what had happened. He felt annoyed after having that scrap with Ian, and so kind of wandered off, kind of feeling really, really upset. And then he heard what he classes just drunk sex. And so kind of, just ignored it. And then obviously he found out a couple of days later that it was Trish being raped, and he feels guilty because it's, he feels he should have saved her, but he never thought about it, and that's why he's been, camping outside a house for the past since he found out that she'd been raped, which was kind of touching, but also kind of, poor Ed. Yeah, it really sucked to be Ed in this entire series. He didn't have it easy at all. And then it cuts to a scene where they're analysing the person who picked up the twine. They zoom in on the license plate, and it belongs to Leo Humphreys. He's back in the frame. Someone who I'd kind of pushed out of the frame, thinking, nah, it can't be him. And Jim doesn't really get seen this episode, so that kind of screwed up my prediction, as you'll have known in the last episode. So, bugger. Absolute bugger. Another perfect scene between Jodie and Andrew. where they are trying to connect again and having one of the most beautiful moments with each other. That you can feel everything they're doing, and you end up feeling so sorry for them. You're like, Beth and Mark, you've been destroyed by this. Danny's death destroyed you completely. Okay, you may not have necessarily been, completely close and everything just before, but you were still kind of a happy couple. And then you start thinking that maybe Leo and Clive are working together, because it cuts back to the police station. And you're thinking, wow. Then you get like an amazing scene where Miller and Hardy are trying to find out what the hell's going on. Who did what and what did happen, etc. And you get this scene where they're going through, the alibis, they're going through the evidence, they're going through everything that they can to try and pin something on someone. And then they keep breaking Clive down, and Clive's just going, "Don't make me do it. Don't make me say it. I don't want to." And you're actually feeling a bit for Clive, because you think there's something he's not telling you, and he doesn't necessarily want to do it. Then it cuts to a scene where Clive is driving down an alley, down a country lane, and you've got two people with their hoods up, and it reverts back to him and his in his alibi. Initially, he said that he'd picked up someone that he shouldn't have done. He picked up some people who weren't actually meant to be. They weren't like a booked fare or anything, and that's kind of under the rug kind of stuff. You don't really do that. And so he picks them up, and it's Leo and his son Michael, and that makes you kind of go, oh, Michael, not Clive. It's Michael. Fuck. You then get an amazing scene where it seems like Clive's trying to protect his boy, where he's doesn't want to say that it was his son, but after the scene you find out that Michael has been brought in, and Michael is being questioned, and Michael kind of just drops Leo in it, kind of thing, saying that he didn't want to, and goes into how Leo was manipulating him and grooming him, but starting off by being his friend, making him feel better about himself, picking on his father, picking on Clive. By Michael loses his football kit, which is where the sock comes from. You start thinking that maybe because obviously he put the spyware on Ian's laptop, that maybe he knew that Trish had sex with Jim, and thought that maybe he could pin it on Jim if anything came up on it. Yeah. I mean, Jesus. The hell? I mean, you get a moment where Leo pretty much says that he's told his girlfriend that she's going to make Michael a man by letting him sleep with his missus, and you're kind of going, okay, that's a bit twisted. And then you get to the point where they're at the party, and Leo, you're an absolute tosser as a character. Absolute freaking tosser. You've got him, kind of trying to force Michael into raping Trish Winterman. They kind of spot Trish. Perfect target. And Trish had said, she thought she'd heard someone say her name or cough. It was Leo saying, Trish. Trish came out. There was no one. She turns around. Leo cracks her on the back of the head with the cricket bat. And so on. And you can see Michael's having a crisis of conscience because he knows that if he does this, there's no going back. He can't play he can't be the good kid anymore. Because if he does, he's going to feel guilty for what he's done. So you kind of feel really sorry for Michael because of how badly he was groomed, and then the fact that, but then you kind of think he's still a dick because you still did it. You could have stuck up against him, smacked Leo and walked off, or hit him, freed Trish, and reported Leo to the police, or something like that. But obviously, he was trying to impress his friend. He felt guilty, and you could see he was feeling guilty about it, which made it such a rewarding thing seeing him come clean and drop Leo right in the shit. Clive. He's a character who really made me change my opinion on him in this episode because of the fact that he didn't want Michael to go through the trial. He didn't want Michael to be put as the culprit. He wanted to take the blame himself and kind of say to Michael and say, please don't send my boy down. Say I did it. Let me go down for it. I should have been a better father. I should have done more. Choose me, not my son. Damn. It cuts to an amazing scene with Leo, where Leo is kind of talking about rape and sex in the same kind of vein, where it's very much they're the same thing really. And that he felt that he was trying to empower Michael by letting him take control because he felt because Michael had felt lonely and unloved, etc. And saying, I know what that feels like. So I wanted him to feel powerful again. I wanted him to feel like he had control over someone, something. And that was kind of an interesting take on it. And you kind of went, that's touchy ground. And then and he kept saying this, and Miller cuts him off and just goes, it was rape. You can't just and it says, that was Laura Benson your first? And he's like, yes. And it's, do you know about the others? And it's, I didn't ask. And then he comes out with a quote that kind of confuses you. It shows how twisted his psyche is. Was that rude? Almost like the idea of he should have asked their names would have made him feel better. Or, he may have remembered more. It was done well, this twisted psyche of Leo. That he seemed to have a twisted psyche that was kind of broken. He knew what he was doing, but he seemed to be twisted in the whole concept of it. Which was interesting. Ellie cuts a nice little interview where she says, we've arrested 2 people in connection to the Trisha Winterman rape and charged the one for 3 other counts of rape, and that they're going to be going to prison, etc., etc. And then it starts cutting to some lovely moments where you've got Paul Coates pretty much saying, I'm going to leave. I'm done here. I've done my job. No one cares anymore. And he cuts an amazing sermon to the entire village, and it says, without me, I hope you can continue to support and look after each other. Mark says, he's going to leave. You see Mark getting in his car, his van, and driving off. You have a scene with Ellie, Fred, Tom, the Latimers, apart from Mark, having like a meal in the garden. It then cuts to like a lovely scene with Ellie and Hardy where they're sat on a bench. It's, so, you and Daisy, you're going to be a dad again, like, you're going to look at, you're going to be a proper dad kind of thing, are you? He's like, yeah. And, they have that moment. It's, we could go to the pub, we've never done that. And Hardy just looks at her and goes, nah. And then they separate where it's just, I'll see you tomorrow at work, boss. And he goes, yeah, whatever, Miller. And then it parts and it cuts to like a nice scene of the shot of the cliff behind them where it all started. And then the music plays. And I thought this episode was a flat out 4.9. Wasn't perfect, but it was damn freaking close. It was beautiful, this episode. And as a whole, I would say that the series gets a clear 4.5 out of 5. I love this series. And it's a shame that it's the end, but as Chris Chibnall said, he wants to end it on a high, which I think he did. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Coming up soon will be a review for episode 1 of Orange and a review of episode 1 of Monster. I'm going to start trying to run them alongside each other. I'm going to try and come up with a schedule, and I'm going to do like a schedule of days when I'm going to be doing stuff, and trying my best to stick to those schedules as much as I can. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please, if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Always helps, if you want to subscribe, you can click it on this side or that side, wherever the hell it is. Leave your thoughts and opinions on the series in the comment section below. It's been great going through this series with you, and hope you're all well. Speak to you soon, guys. Bye.